Hagrid, Keeper of Keys and Grounds at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. A Death Eater? When we think of a double agent, we immediately think of Snape. But what if it were someone less obvious? Today on Fantasy Archive, we take a trip into the world of fan theories and go over what behaviors led us to think that beloved Hagrid may have been a Death Eater, or at least not as truthful as we think he is. Stay tuned and make up your mind on Hagrid's theory, if plausible, or if it was him being at the wrong place at the wrong time too many times. The deep-covered giant Hagrid is a Death Eater theory was posted on Reddit along with a 21-page Google Doc by user Woof. Fan theories are common enough, often fun things that pop up here and there to explain aspects of a story with a plot hole, or just an idea that sounds neat. In this case, Woof has admitted that this fan theory is mostly for fun and not at all to be taken seriously. Despite these statements, the examples do make some sense.
Whoa!
Woof's post walks us through all 7 books, giving examples of how Hagrid's displays of ineptitude could show that he's a spy. It is important to note that these examples of evidence are only taken from the 7 Harry Potter books, and no information outside of the main Harry Potter storyline was used to collect evidence. Overall, our conclusions from the theory can be reduced to 2 statements. 1. Hagrid is secretly a much more talented wizard than we think he is. And 2. Hagrid has intentionally or unintentionally helped Voldemort. So what makes Hagrid more talented than expected? What makes him a suspect in our eyes? We have to remember that Hagrid was expelled in his 3rd year of schooling and is not allowed to perform magic.
Strictly speaking, I'm not allowed to do magic.
Yet, there are instances where he does, and they are very telling. When Hagrid delivers baby Harry to the Dursleys' house with Dumbledore and McGonagall, he states that the Potter's house was almost completely destroyed. But I got him out before the Muggles started swarming around. He couldn't have used a broom. Hagrid explains he's too heavy to use a broom later in the series. Most other forms of magical travel would have to be approved. There is apparition, but it isn't taught until the 5th year. While there are certainly some ways he could get around these issues, they would not be easily or quickly accessible to a dropout who is not supposed to use magic, so he either knows the magic or was around. While we don't find out that Wormtail was the secret keeper of the spell hiding the Potter's home from Voldemort until a couple of books later, we do know that Hagrid was one of the first wizards on the scene. Somehow he knew exactly where the Potters were, even though no one but Wormtail would have been able to tell him where the resident was until after the spell had been broken. Fishy, huh? So while Dudley is a brat by anyone's standards, Hagrid's abuse of magic and providing Dudley with a pigtail is quite a magical violation. Even though it happens before Arthur Weasley's Muggle Protection Act, wizards aren't supposed to go around giving muggles tails. There is a veil of secrecy over the wizarding world for everyone's protection. You may think, but Dudley is a jerk, why do we care? Well, because Dudley had to have the tail surgically removed. It didn't just magically fade away. In fact, through this, Hagrid proves he knows Transfiguration, only taught at Newt level. Once again, Hagrid displays magical ability beyond his 3 years of Hogwarts should have taught him. Only 2 characters in the books display this ability, Voldemort and Snape, who he taught it to. So how did our gentle giant make it to the island that Harry and the Dursleys were on? There was no sign of magical items, and the boat Harry and the Dursleys used to get there was still on the island with them. At least till Hagrid took it to get Harry and himself back to shore, abandoning the Dursleys. So far, we've seen he knows his fair share of advanced magic. These next scenarios, he does some weird stuff that just makes us wonder. We find out in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets that Hagrid went to school with Tom Riddle, who later changed his name to Lord Voldemort. The two went to Hogwarts together, and though Hagrid's time there was cut off when he was expelled in his 3rd year, it's not impossible to say the two could have remained in contact. Hagrid and the then Tom Riddle knew each other well enough for Tom to know about baby Aragog, so who knows what other knowledge they exchanged. There are reasons to believe Hagrid found Voldy's wand at Godric Hollow and kept it for him. Or why would Voldemort have it back when he got his body back? Someone from the Order of the Ministry would have destroyed it. When Harry misuses Floo powder and ends up in Nocturn Alley, Hagrid ends up finding him pretty quickly. Nocturn Alley is a place known to be filled with questionable dark wizard swords. Hagrid could have just been there for his obvious gambling trouble, but there are so many more nefarious things going on there, it does make one curious. Hagrid is the groundskeeper at Hogwarts. He managed to be friends with a few of the professors and also the Minister of Magic Cornelius Fudge himself. He's also a confidant of Dumbledore and a member of the Order of the Phoenix. It could prove difficult for even the most well-intentioned sort to make friends with someone like the Minister of Magic, without some close connections. Those connections could be harmless, sure, but you never know. In this book, Mad-Eye Moody, a known paranoid grumpy retired Auror, is made Professor of Defense Against the Dark Arts. Now we know that at the start of the semester, Barty Crouch Jr. impersonated Moody using Polyjuice Potion. Moody Crouch goes out of his way to avoid other people. So when Harry uses his invisibility cloak to sneak out of Hogwarts, it's a surprise to find the Gentle Giant and the Professor Impersonator having a conversation. The two even conspire together to help Harry with the Triwizard Tournament and gain the trophy, and thus get pulled through the illegal portkey to Voldemort's return. So far, we see he has his network and potentially some unpopular friends. For the first time in the 5th book, we see why Hagrid is trusted so close by Dumbledore. We are shown that Hagrid is both an amazing yet ineffective covert operative. He and Madame Maxime are tasked with going to find the Giants and convincing them to join the Order and not the Death Eaters. He was able to throw off Ministry officials that were tracking them. He and Madame Maxime had succeeded in initial negotiations until the Death Eaters interfered. How did the Death Eaters manage to find the spot Hagrid barely found when he had managed to avoid them till that moment? Bad luck? Or did he tell them? During the Seven Potters operation, when members of the Order of the Phoenix used Polyjuice potions to disguise 6 people as Harry, Hagrid isn't targeted. This comes off as a very strange because the man is massive and he and Harry, the real Harry, happen to be the only pair riding on a magical motorbike. Hagrid also yells Harry's name several times during the encounter with the Death Eaters. All of these aspects made the Giants seem a bit more obvious, and clearly he has the real Harry with him. So why wasn't he more of a target early on? Voldemort gave very clear orders. My instructions to my Death Eaters have been perfectly clear. Capture Potter, kill his friends, the more the better, but do not kill him. So why isn't Hagrid dead? Instead, he's held captive in the Death Eater camp, perhaps to manipulate Harry. Hagrid's usefulness would have ended once Harry turned himself in. So is this because of the long-time relationship he had with Voldemort back when he was young Tom Riddle? When it is presumed Harry is dead, Voldemort orders Hagrid to pick up the body, put Harry's glasses on him, and carry him out so everyone could see their hero is dead. You carry him, Voldemort said. He will be nice and visible in your arms, will he not? Pick up your little friend, Hagrid, and the glasses, put on the glasses. He must be recognizable. Hagrid follows these orders with no question. It could be simply because Hagrid is outmatched by Voldemort and the Death Eaters, as most would be. But still. When Neville destroys Nagini and the reinforcements arrive, it is made clear that Voldemort and the Death Eaters are about to lose. For the first time since the start of the battle, Hagrid actually fights. However, he only fights the Death Eater McNair, who he has a grudge against. While there isn't concrete evidence of Hagrid's loyalty to Voldemort, he neither benefits him by spilling the beans on sensitive info, putting Harry in danger, or just finding himself in unexplainable situations. Are you feeling suspicious? Share your thoughts in the comments.